And there's been a conversation going on, and I want to show y'all how in depth I be, how tapped in I be. Way back in November, the beginning of November, when we realized that our coach was out and that this team was going to take a massive shakeup, T'Vondre Sweat started the year off on IR. By the time he came back, Big Jeff was out for a few games, and we knew at that point the season was over and we'd be looking for a new head coach, right? So then it becomes the period of who's going to be a building block for this Tennessee Titan franchise going forward and who's not, because everybody got things that they had to put on tape for the new regime that's coming in, because Mike Bergonzi obviously was shipping out anybody that was under Rand Carthon, from Jarvis Brownlee Jr. to Roger McCreary. We seen guys getting shipped out, and one of those people that's always at the topic of conversation is T'Vondre Sweat. He was a pick at the top of the second round, but as talented as he is a guy that's a 2-down player. He's not a 3-down player. And when you spend a second round pick, you expect him to work himself into a player that can play 3 downs. Starting the season off not being available, you know, there was that weird week where they said he said he would be ready, and then he had a setback and was out on IR for 4 weeks, and then he didn't come back to almost the bye week. Now, Shabba Buddha be a little bit ahead of the curve, because if you remember back when I said these are the players who contract was ending, and these are the players do they want to build around. All the way back in November, I had questioned, would the Tennessee Titans start shopping players that are not part of Mike Bergonzi's regime? And when you look at that I was already talking about that way back when, I was one of the people that championed for T'Vondre Sweat because I felt like he was a first round talent that had an off the field issue that he fell in the draft, and we needed more raw talent up front to help Jeffrey Simmons. Now, with Robert Saleh coming in a new regime with Mike Bergonzi, he's one of the people that said he's not safe. Now, what I mean by that is, last year Jeffrey Simmons was trying to take him with him, and you seen how Jeffrey Simmons and J.C. Latham's work ethic and body was coming into this new season. It helped Jeffrey Simmons ascend to a level he's never been to as far as recognition around the league, because he put in the work off the field. Now with T'Vondre Sweat being a bigger guy, he has to take the initiative this offseason to get himself into the type of shape that he could play as a 3-down player. They're going to be in the nickel wide. You know, it's going to be 4 down up front. He's going to have to show that he can be out there on 3 downs. And I have this feeling that if he doesn't take that commitment, and I'm not saying, like I was joking on Twitter, and I didn't say this, but I've seen other people saying that a weight amount that he would lose. It's not a weight amount. It's a mentality of saying, I want to be the best, and I'm going to put in the work in the offseason, the commitment to the franchise for taking him as a second round pick. Now, he may be a better fit in other schemes, so you have to honestly think about, if they don't see a certain progression in him coming into next season, as far as his commitment to being the best in the league, is a situation where you can see him being shipped out and them, you know, bringing back Sebastian Joseph Day and drafting or getting guys in free agency that may be a better scheme fit for Robert Saleh. Because you can't deny the talent that T'Vondre Sweat has to move, in, you know, his technique that he has, just naturally being a big guy that can move the way he does. But he's not going to be able to rely on just size and raw power in the NFL, especially when he gets isolated in a duo blocks for a whole game. He's still going to have to find a way to be effective. And with the new direction that they're going in, what would be the trade value of T'Vondre Sweat if they decided to move T Sweat? If they didn't like the progression of where he was going as a player, because those are some of the decisions that's going to have to be made. And if they trade Jarvis Brownlee and lose value going from a 5th to a 6th, and trading Roger McCreary and some of the other players that they let go, then you have to honestly think, like, what would they take if offered for T Sweat? And he was the 2nd round pick. If somebody offered a 4th or 5th, conditional pick, if he didn't impress the new staff to the way they thought that he should be at a certain point, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't shop him. Do I want to shop him? No. I hope that he takes the commitment to come back to be the player that we think he could be, that we know he could be, because his athleticism at his size is very rare. But you just want to see him be able to go to that next level as an interior defensive lineman playing next to Jeffrey Simmons, who most regard as the best interior D lineman in football, the way he played this season. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And will this new staff take the viewpoint of, if he gets with Jeff Simmons and has a different commitment to his training, that they'll look at him different? Because you can't expect another player, even though he could be a mentor or somebody he admires or looks up to, another alpha in the room, or a coach like Robert Saleh that's gonna be very demanding on the defense, but to see what they will potentially do, because I still expect a lot of moves to be made with the team, with the roster. And as I've been saying, like, I think no player that Ran Carthon brought in, whether it was draft or signed or traded for, is safe with the new regime, especially changing defensive schemes. Then rolling into the second part of that is, we seen Kevin Byard hitting the Cam Ward celebration. We know he still has a home in Nashville and he is a free agent. How would that look, bringing Kevin Byard back and letting Kevin Winston Jr. play the Nick Emmanwori role that he plays in Seattle, which is basically constantly in the box and constantly in the slot, a guy that can help you blitz wise, a guy that can help cover, a guy that is a dynamic tackler, somebody that can match up on pretty much any position, whether it's running back, tight end, receiver, and just cause havoc with his size and speed. So that's one thing to think about, which that would kick Marcus Harris to the outside, which he played well second half of the season. I thought Marcus Harris was probably the best. Argue Baker Jr., but I thought Marcus Harris did some great work coming in, going from slot to outside to slot. That would be interesting to see if they chose to do something like that. And then you'd have Xavier Woods on his last year. That would give you a completely different look in the safety room, reuniting Byard and Hook. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. I think that's an interesting conversation with T Sweat, and we all are interested to see what as the Super Bowl concludes between the Seahawks and the Patriots. Initial period starts a little bit earlier, but I think the official date is like March 11 at like 3 p.m. where free agents can start signing. So it's gonna be interesting to see a month and a week after the Super Bowl, when players start the free agent signing period, to see just who the Tennessee Titans target, or who they cut, like leading up to the draft. Where last year they signed Tyler Lockett the night before the draft. So it's gonna be interesting to see the moves they make, and then the draft, and then leading up to the June cuts, and then you're gonna have the fall camp and preseason trades, undrafted free agents, guys that got cut that couldn't work out deals with their team. It's gonna be real interesting to see. I think we got something positive to look forward to in Nashville, especially with the coaches hires that they brought in, letting Bergonzi lead the search. Robert Saleh to Daboll to now Gus Bradley coming in White Cotton, Retaining Bones Fossil. A lot of good coaches on this staff, and maybe that'll help bring in some of these free agents. And then we just had the Senior Bowl, as well as we'll have the Combine. So it should be a lot of content regarding the Tennessee Titans leading up to this season, and finally an era of most of the fan base is positive, except for people arguing about what jerseys the Tennessee Titans gonna have or not gonna have. And we don't even want to get back into that. Talking about how people are trying to dog the Titans about being excited about a new coaching staff, a new stadium, and new jerseys. Like, why wouldn't we be excited as a fan base with what we suffered the last 2 years under Brian Callahan? Hit that subscribe, like, comment, share. Tap into the daily uploads at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the live streams, you got picture in picture. And if I don't get to any questions during the live streams or the pods, drop them in the comments. I'll make it part of the weekly mailbag. If you're following on the blue, smash those reactions. I know you're OG. Hit that like, comment, share, tap into the daily content that is the shop. If you're new to the shop, you definitely should be tapped in on the green. No ads, up to 50 emotes free for just being a follower. You do not have to be a supporter to unlock picture in picture, late night streams. Follow us on Kick. We also live on Twitch. Look out for the drops, as well as if you have Amazon Prime, it's free $99 to sub to the channel once a month. Don't let Jeff Bezos stick that money back in his pocket. If you don't use it on the shop, use it on another content creator that you like. I still call it Twitter, but follow us on X. We tweet back. If you missed the daily shop talks, make sure you tap in for the late night cap on the purple and the green. The Discord is always open. Outside of subs, donos, and cash apps, is also another way to support the content. That's by grabbing a trucker hat, a bandana, hoodies, the classic barbershop, Vibe Nation, right out of the official merch store on Tactic, formerly known as Geeks Unleashed. Code Buddha at checkout to get a discount.